All right, welcome back here. Again, it's Michael Fitzpatrick, and we are on to step number 3 here, which is who do you know, and helping you really make your list. A great quote here. I'll start off. As you probably could tell by now, I love quotes. And Russell Simmons says, "I've been blessed to find people who are smarter than I am, and they help me to execute the vision that I have." And really, that's what you want in this business. You want to actually surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, that are more connected than you, that are better looking than you, that are just and at every level, you want to surround yourself with people who are better and smarter and bigger and so on and so forth. So if you have the humility to do that, then you're going to succeed at wild levels. But you want to find the sharpest, brightest people that you know. And they kind of call it recruit up, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So the overview of this brief section here is how and why making a list works, actually making your list, how to stay organized. This is actually key. A call tracker that we have. What is that, and why use it? And then the next steps. So when you first get started in this business, the gold star here represents your dreams, your vision, your why, the reason you got involved with this business. Maybe it's tangible, maybe it's not tangible, maybe it's a feeling, or maybe it's monetarily, or whatever it is, right? You got involved for very specific reasons. Now, the only way that you're going to possibly reach the fulfillment of that goal and those dreams is by being able to enroll other people into the vision, into your vision. Now, the irony is that they may not even be enrolling per se into your vision, okay? They may be enrolling into their own vision, but you gave them an opportunity because you have a vehicle that will enable them to also reach for their gold star. So you probably know 100, 200, 300 people. And what you're not sure of is what's going on behind closed doors, right? You really don't know the realities of their situations personally. And if you think about this business as you going out there and trying to recruit people to join your business, you're going to fail miserably. If you think about this business as an opportunity for you to share what you're up to and share your story and to show them the program, then you're going to possibly, achieve levels of success that you didn't even know were possible. So at the end of the day, like a great fisherman, it's a lot of work, especially to pull in a huge fish. But look at the reward of that. And you can liken fishing also to flying a kite. And you have to know when to let it out a little bit, and you have to know when to pull it in tighter. And that's much like how you're going to deal with the 100 or 200 or 300 people that you know, or anybody else that you encounter. You got to know when to pull and know when to tug and know when to give out and know when to bring it in. And the only way to really bring a good fish on the boat is giving them some space, then reeling them in. Giving them some space, and same thing with a kite, right? You want to let some string out and then know when to pull it back. So what you're doing is you're basically going on a fishing expedition. And what I want you guys to do is come up with a list of all the key criteria, right? The key attributes of an ideal associate. Who is the person that you're looking for? And we're looking for people who are looking. Think about when you're at a parking lot at the supermarket or at the mall or somewhere else, and the entire row or the entire floor of cars in the parking garage are not moving. And you're sitting there in your car, and all these cars are standstill, which means that they're just not ready to move. They're still shopping. They're still inside. And then somebody all of a sudden, a minute, 5 minutes, 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes later, somebody comes out. And what they're basically showing you is that they're ready to move. They get in their car, they put their bags in, they pull out, and then they start going home. And then all of a sudden, you can go right into that spot. Well, think about that when it comes to recruiting. When it comes to enrolling people into your vision, you're just showing people the opportunity, right? You are just the messenger. You're not the message. You're just you're just exploring whether or not this person would have any interest in joining what you're doing. And if not them, then who might they know? So don't think about it. Don't take it personally if they don't want to join your business. It's a numbers game, and make up in numbers what you lack in skill. It's going to take you 60 times of doing something before you're even comfortable. So this fishing expedition, basically, ultimately, what you're going to have on the left-hand side is a lot of people that are enrolled into this game plan. Now, you may have only enrolled 5, 10, 15, 20 associates yourself, but they may have gone out there and enrolled another 100, 200, 500 associates. And then ultimately, you and your small little group, as part of Viridian and using that vehicle, are able to create some major change in the world. Whether it's our Brazil trip or our Africa trip or our local sustainability events, and we're really just doing something, not only locally but on a global scale that's creating a significant impact and difference. And you and your team are going to be a catalyst in making that happen. So a lot of people might be wondering, well, who do I know? Well, if you go to page 13 in your DUPLIC8 book, there's a memory jogger there, and it lists off all sorts of categories to give you a way to think about who you might know. Now, what we have, and again, there's a separate training for this, but this is a critically important piece to the whole equation, and to some people it might seem a little bit anal retentive, so to speak, or a little bit OCD, but I've been in sales for over a decade, and I've produced at extremely, extremely high levels, and I would tell you that organization is one of my key fortes. It's what's helped me make, lots and lots of money. And if you put your list of 100 or 200 people into this spreadsheet, okay, as a starting point, that's your first number one goal, is to get as much information as you possibly have. You might not have all this data, but as much of it as you possibly have, and get it into a spreadsheet. And then what we're going to do is we're going to help you mail merge that spreadsheet into a document. So each of your contacts will have their own document. And I can tell you that calling from a spreadsheet is extremely inefficient, and it's going to be very difficult to keep track of over time. So I recommend that you actually have a sheet for each contact so that you can actually, what we call, disposition them properly after you call them. Well, what does disposition mean? Well, I also encourage you to go out to the store and get 11 manila folders. And each folder represents a stage that name on your list is in. So it's everybody starts off in the first folder, yet to contact. You haven't contacted anybody yet. Maybe you're still calling back and still trying to follow up to book appointments. Maybe you've called and you haven't gotten in touch with them yet, so they go into category 2. Maybe you booked an appointment. They go right into folder 3. Maybe you booked an appointment they had to reschedule. They come out of 3 and they go in section 4. Maybe you met with them and they're still deciding. Maybe you've met with them and they're not interested. Maybe you met with them and they became a customer. Maybe you met with them and they became an associate. Maybe they have phone issues. It's been a while since you've called them. Well, the worst thing you can do during a dedicated call session, if you have an hour blocked off to make calls, would be to start Googling the phone number, right then and there. So just plop it into folder number 9 and then go deal with all the ones that have phone issues at some other point in time, after hours. Maybe they already have a third-party provider but said stay in touch, and maybe they're just not interested and there was no meeting. And if you have other categories, I would suggest or recommend you use those too. But the point is that all 100 or 200 names that you know of people that you have are ultimately going to go into one of these folders. So you can actually call the most powerful list first, okay, and not waste time. For example, if I was sitting down to make phone calls, I would call people who appointments were booked with that had to reschedule first and foremost, and I would get those people back on the docket. I would then call people who I met with that are still deciding and get them kind of off the fence one way or the other. Then we have this thing referred to as the call tracker. Now, think about this as like the bumper lanes in a bowling alley. Okay, it's not designed to show up to the bowling alley for you. It's not designed to roll the ball for you. This call tracker is not going to make the phone calls for you, right, or do all the follow-up work, but it's designed to help you really stay on track and see how good you're doing in terms of your performance. So here's how it breaks down, quite simply. The calls, every time you make a dial, you make a phone call, you put an X through one of the phones. Every time somebody actually picks up the phone, you put an X through the contacts section. And then after that, once you've connected with somebody, then something's going to happen. Either they weren't interested, they wanted you to call them back, or perhaps you booked an appointment. And you can see here that booked an appointment, you could either have done that online, face-to-face, or in some sort of a group meeting. Now, the reason that this sheet is so important is because you'll probably be able to dial 20 to 30 names in an hour. Okay, that's the average. And you're going to actually connect with about 1 in every 4 people that you actually dial the phone of. So if you dial the phone 20 times, you're probably only going to talk to 5 people that are going to answer the phone. 15 probably won't. And then of those 5, how many did you actually book appointments with? So these are great opportunities for coaching to see, where you might need some assistance and some help. And I can tell you guys, after you've used something like this and a system like this for a period of time, it becomes old hat, second nature. In the beginning, it's a little bit like, wow, this is a little bit challenging. But over time, the more you use it, the easier it gets. Jim Rohn says that there's 2 types of pain that you're going to go through in life: the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons. So pick and choose your battles, and then we're going to get right into step number 4 in the next video. So thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next video.